Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Grow Your Path to Wellness. If you missed it last week, Amanda and I, we had a kind of an impromptu chat about quite a few things, actually. Because our guest, we had some unforeseen circumstances, but she rescheduled for this week, so keep an eye out. We'll have 2 episodes coming out this week instead of just our usual one. But this week, our guest is going to be Emma Kulbis. Emma, did I say your last name right?
Yes.
Okay, I butcher people's names all the time. So, but we're going to be discussing with Emma just like how any pointers and ways of making healthy choices. So welcome, Emma.
Hi, thank you. So glad to be here.
If you don't mind, just go ahead and give us and our community a brief introduction, maybe kind of the things that you're doing in the wellness world or just some information about yourself and your background.
Sure, I can do that. So again, my name is Emma Kulbis, and everybody butchers my last name, so it's okay. They spell it wrong, they say it wrong, no worries. And okay, so I've been working in the mental health and substance use field in several different roles, but clinical counseling, administration, and now I'm a faculty member at a university teaching substance use counseling. So I've been in the field for about 12 years. I did my internship out at a residential treatment facility, and that's kind of where I fell in love with like the idea of substance use counseling and just the whole mystery kind of behind it, and how people just can come from these really dark, awful places to grow into these amazing humans that they always have been, but they just are finally able to show it. And so that's kind of where I started. And so now, like I said, I work at a university and I'm teaching substance use counseling classes. Not all the students that I have want to be substance use counselors, but some of them just addiction has affected them in different ways. So they might just want to take a couple of classes to get just kind of some information about it. Other people minor in it. Some people are actually taking an associate program that we just developed to become substance use counselors. So it's been really cool to kind of see the cycle of my own career path.
I love that.
We talked about that too, like the path and everything happening for a reason, kind of.
Yeah.
Like looking back, you never might have thought that you'd be teaching, but back in previous roles, you were maybe always a teacher, always kind of empowering people, and now here you are.
Well, and my bachelor's degree originally is in teaching, and I did teach for 5 years, and I call it my former life before I went back for my master's. So I never lost a love of teaching. I guess, changed direction of who and what. So.
I love it. Okay.
Do I need to say where I'm located? I just realized I didn't say that. I'm in Ashland, Ohio, which is kind of like about an hour north from Columbus, Ohio, and an hour south of Cleveland, Ohio. So.
Yeah, that's helpful to know too. And actually, I didn't even think about the fact when you shared it that some people might just be taking these courses not because they wanted to go into the profession, but they want to understand substance use because they've been impacted by it. And oh my gosh, how powerful is that?
Yeah,
that's an option now.
Program like that's you pick a major, you're taking that class because you have to, but that's amazing having students in your class because they want to learn, like, okay, I want to learn this information. How has it, impacted me? And amazing. What university are you at? I'm sorry.
I was at Ashland University.
Okay, that's what I figured.
It's a small private college, and oh gosh, it's been around for a lot of years. I got my undergraduate from there, and so it's also kind of a weird full circle that I ended up back teaching here. So alumni.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's cool. I think there are a lot of students who they do take the class maybe as like, well, this is something that I should do. Like some of them are psychology majors, for example, or criminal justice. And so they're like, well, I should take these classes because it'll help me to like be more marketable or to get to know my clientele better. But then there's other people that just, like you said, they've been impacted and they just want to know more about it. And right now I'm back. I actually have a class on campus, which is nice. I've been doing a lot of online classes because of COVID. And so now I get to like see faces and we get to do face-to-face interactions, and that just is like so fulfilling.
I lost it. I was going to say something about substance use, and obviously it touches everybody, right? You can't ignore it at this point, whether you feel like you're going to go into, like you said, criminal justice or sociology, you're going to be impacted, whether it's personally, professionally, someone in your, a coworker or a friend or a loved one. So, and then also, that's what I was going to say. You have recently, I don't know if you're just sharing them, but are you involved in the training, like putting on continuing education trainings for Ashland too, or are you just kind of sharing those?
No. So the other part of my job is I'm one of the directors of the Center for Addictions at Ashland University. There had been somebody previously running it, and she left for a part-time job so she could be with her family more. And so my coworker and I, we are co-directors of the center. So we work on well, there's kind of a couple of goals that we have. One of them is to develop CEUs, continuing education units, for people to be able to renew their license and, just get to know more information about different subjects. And then the other part of it that we have not quite started yet, but we're like in the process of, is collaborating with different mental health and recovery boards. Originally, the idea was that we would travel to different parts of Ohio and be able to present to different agencies, or, however the mental health and recovery boards wanted to do it. Now it would probably be over, Zoom because of COVID, but that's something that we're also working on. We have a grant through the state, and that's what's funding us to be able to do this. So all of our CEUs currently that we offer are free. And I mean, who doesn't want free CEUs?
Right.
That's like, what? Free donuts?
Yeah, especially if there's ethics tied to it, or supervision tied to it. Now, is that just for Ohio?
Yeah, we're only able to provide for Ohio, but I think people in other states, they can probably like post or pre-approval, I imagine. Yeah. Because I can't imagine other states don't have pretty similar standards.
Yeah.
In regards to what people need for their continuing education unit. So, yes, I guess there is actually kind of two things that I'm doing.
Yeah, she's like, I
sometimes I don't think about it as two separate. It's just, it is my job. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't really separate it.
Like, and it's still teaching things. Like,
yeah. Yeah, just in a different capacity. We have a really cool seminar coming up at the end of February. And it's on LGB. Oh, do you know what it is?
I shared it with Kelsi. So I was like, do you remember? Is it in your calendar? Did you put it there? She's like, I don't know. I can't find it in my email. I'm like, you didn't get a confirmation, but it's there. I promise.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. It's the LGBTQ plus population and addictions that kind of go with that. And we have two presenters who are amazing and do really fantastic work both in addictions and in diversity trainings. So I am really excited for this upcoming seminar.
Me and Amanda always joke and say we're nerds because we're always like, oh my gosh, that sounds so cool. I'm going to do that. Oh my gosh, that sounds cool. I'm going to do that too.
Yeah. I love learning. So
same.
So yeah, I want to make sure I talked about that because I've attended one of the trainings already, and then I knew there was one coming up, so I want to make sure we talked about that. And I should say that even people that don't have licenses, just like lay people attend that class, lay people could probably attend these courses too and learn more about that. So important to know.
There's some they probably would be more interested in attending than others. Like this one, they probably would be. We do actually have another just 1 hour CEU on motivational interviewing next week, and so that one, maybe not like just any old person would want to necessarily come to it, but they could. So
listen, motivational interviewing with a partner, with your kids, with your family, people don't realize. Obviously, you're not going to apply it clinically, but just having different words to use, communication, effective communication.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad you shared that, because now I'm going to have to go online and sign up for that one and share it.
Yeah, I think there's still some space on there. So it's February 16th. So
okay, awesome.
I guess that's not next week. It's the week after, but it's coming up.
That's okay. Emma, why the topic? So today you wanted to talk about making healthy choices, which could be a very broad topic. Why did that come to mind when we were like, hey, let's do a podcast?
I'm just really hard on myself. And I don't know if, I'm sure you guys can relate in some way. I just expect myself to achieve at the highest levels for the longest periods of time with the best feelings behind it. Like, I have struggled forever with allowing myself to just like be where I am and feel how I feel. So I don't even know that it's like healthy decisions as much as just being okay with, I've made this decision. Maybe it was a crap decision. Maybe it was a healthy decision. I can fix it, but this is where I am right now. And like, it's just something that I, on a daily basis, have to kind of like talk myself through. So I think maybe there's a lot of people that could be like that out there. So yeah, it's kind of just near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, Kelsi and I constantly are like, especially with, I mean, starting last year with the pandemic, we were just like, grace.
Yes.
You're surviving every day. Give yourself grace.
Yes.
What did I do today? And then I'm going to lose all the mentality of the stuff that I didn't get done because I expected myself to get it done. And
I couldn't keep up because life happens, and, you know, the dog throws up and I had to clean that, so it made me late. Or, you know, the child had this activity and I had to run her here or there, and it's just life happens. So it's definitely something that's been near and dear to me.
So it's not so much necessarily like talking through how you come to making choices, but more so once the choice is made, the mindfulness of processing the emotions and thoughts afterward.
Yeah. And yeah, but that would probably be more what it is. Now, I will say, like, I do try to make healthy decisions as much as I can. Doesn't always happen, but sometimes at the time it feels like the right decision. It feels like the healthy choice. And it's only with hindsight and working through whatever like consequences may come from that decision that, you know, a week, a month, a year later, I can look back and be like, maybe that wasn't my best decision. But at the time I thought it was.
It sounds like too, doing a lot of, we're checking in with our, and I know I can't, you know, I only can speak for myself, but checking in with myself and how's my brain relating to what's the healthy decision? Is that like based out of expectation of me, and I'm perceiving that that's the healthy choice? I should thinking I should do that.
Yeah, shouldn't all over yourself, right?
Right. Yeah. Almost that's every day. And like when we had this topic, I was like, holy cow. Hi. Where did that? Yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked in past episodes about should, you know, like if you're saying I should be, it's typically not your voice. It's a critical parent from childhood. It's a critical, you know, religious voice you've been raised in, or a societal voice. It's usually not what's best for you per your gut instinct and what's going on with your individual body. So then we always talk about like listening to your body, and I feel like I need to separate healthy. Like I don't ever want you to look back and be like, that wasn't a healthy decision. It's like, that was something I learned from, and maybe next time I'll learn from it and do it better, rather than like, is this a healthy decision? Is this not a healthy decision?
Right.
Like, you know, it's like, what's best for me in the moment? Because I think a lot of times people get caught up in the black and white, all or nothing thinking too. And then they beat themselves up saying, oh, that wasn't healthy. See, I'm a bad person. And
yes, I can never do anything right. Yeah, absolutely.
From making decisions.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with all of that. And I think like there's just, our society just sets us up to compare. You know, whether it's comparing what we look like to, you know, like the person that's on the screen, or whether it's comparing what our house looks like compared to the neighbors, whether it's comparing, I wrote this professional piece versus this person wrote this professional piece. Like, there's always comparison. And in some ways, comparison can be, I think, driving, and it can give a person motivation. But in other ways, it can be really a negative effect on our psyche and our bodies. And like you were saying, like listening to your body, when you just sit in comparison and always think yours is less than, not as good as, uglier than, it's just your whole body feels that. And I'm tired of feeling like that. I don't want to feel like that anymore. So this is work that I really have to keep doing. Your cat is like, hi.
Kelly always has to make a debut.
Yeah.
Always.
She's so
She's
cute.
like, I agree with this topic.
She's like, I'm so pretty. I'm not comparing myself.
Speaking of bodies, look at this body. Yeah, I think a lot of times, I mean, obviously all the work Kelsi and I do is like preaching mind body, because we've gotten into a society where we've got so disconnected from our body that we're always in our head, so
yeah,
I think especially with making decisions, a lot of people are like, what's my intuition? I don't know what my gut. Kelsi, I was texting you about this. I don't know if it was a TikTok. We talked about TikToks last week too. I don't know if it was a TikTok I saw or something, but it was like the comparison of trauma. Did you share it with me?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
like comparing, she was sharing an aspect from a therapy session that she had herself, the person making the video. And she was, saying like she was talking to her therapist about how she was feeling like she was struggling with telling the difference between her intuition, which she felt was always very strong and something she could, kind of lean into. And a lot of trauma triggers were coming up at the same time. And her therapist was like, what if I told you that those are the same thing?
Wow, that's really powerful.
Yeah, so I sent him we exchange TikToks all the time. Like we're just mental health TikTok, That's what all.
I don't have TikTok, so I don't even know. Like I know what it is, but I only just got an Instagram like 2 or 3 days ago. So
you're adorable.
It suck you in like really quickly. So.
That's what I've heard, is people could just get sucked into the funnel of TikTok, and I probably don't need anything else to distract me. So I just haven't downloaded it.
The thing I like about it though is that Facebook, Instagram, I don't know if there's any like Gen Z or younger listening, but they're like, you're old if you have a Facebook still. Yeah, exactly. But those can kind of like get you caught up in negativity and funk depending on what you're scrolling. Whereas TikTok kind of personalizes your feed based on what you like, what you interact with, what you post. So like I'll log into TikTok and it's all mental health professionals or people, like she said, like people that are going to therapy and sharing their feedback, or like Kelsi has a lot of plant talk because she is a plant mom. Like, so it's like a beautiful space for people to feel validated, supported, get some community, whereas that might not have been an option before. So like there's my little plug for TikTok.
Yes, like that feeling in your body and your mind of, whenever I'm on TikTok, like I was telling Amanda the other day, I'm hardly on Facebook and Instagram anymore. It's mainly TikTok because I notice a difference in myself, feeling less drained from it and less of that comparison kind of like feeling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get almost energized and excited and like, wait, I didn't even know that you learn from other therapists. And I'm like, what is this that you're doing? Oh, that's kind of tapping, but it's also bilateral stimulation. Oh my gosh, you're so right. I should share that with my clients. Or, just like analogies that they give, comparing things for, we are not sponsored by TikTok, but there's our little plug for it.
You're like, just promo. Well, that's cool. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll download a TikTok. Maybe I'll do it.
You should do it.
I also wanted to just comment. You were talking about like listening to your gut, and I'm really glad you said gut, because I think so many people, including myself, we listen to like that heart feeling. Like I just want it, or I just am like, I don't care about that boundary because my heart feels a certain way, instead of saying like, what is my gut telling me, and if I really listen. So I think that's another part of making the decisions, is just what feels right in your gut area. I think we all have that. Yeah, you have to trust it.
How do you for the lay person or for someone that's not in this world, or even sometimes, professionals have a hard time with that. How do you sit with yourself when you say like sit with yourself and listen? How do you do that? How do you quiet the heart, or how do you go to the gut? How like
to separate?
Yeah.
I like to be alone. Like I will go to my room. I don't usually have time to like do it during the day. So I just kind of like build up all these things that I need to make decisions on, or things that I'm concerned about, or whatever. They're in there. And then when I have time at the end of the day, I just go into my room, and my big fat cat comes in and he sits with me, and I just kind of like pet him, and my mind just starts to think. Other people are journalers and they kind of write it all out. Sometimes I may ask somebody else or tell somebody like, oh, this is, the situation. What are your thoughts? I may get an opinion, but ultimately, everybody can tell me the same thing, and it doesn't mean I'm going to do that. It's just what feels ultimately right inside of me. I can tell when I'm having more or longer amounts of anxiety and panic that something isn't right. Something is off in my life. There is something that I need to change. And usually I know what it is. I've just been ignoring it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So
we preach that so much, right? The body keeps the score is like the main book we'll just, plug out there. But truly, again, unfortunately, our health care medical professionals have gotten very specialized, and we've forgotten that our stress impacts our physical health, and that stress, whether it's full-on trauma, that stress, until you process it, is stored in your body, and it's going to be a racing heart, and it's going to be difficulty breathing, and it's going to be gut issues, and right, or sleep issues, until you sit and think, okay, what am I in control of? What do I need to be changing?
What can I do about this?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like how you mentioned reaching out to like other trusted supports, because like you said, they can tell you, give you their feedback all day long. And, at the end of the day, you're going to make that, the choice that you feel like is best for you. But I feel like getting that feedback can be super helpful, because we feel like a sense of connection, and hopefully those people make us feel understood. They give us their feedback, but it maybe just helps with the processing of whether they give us clarification, or whether they just give us another perspective that maybe solidifies our own like perspective. So I like that, throwing out there to reach out to supports.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I don't know if you guys ever have this. You probably do. So if you're on like one of your social medias and like you follow a certain, page, or you are friends with a certain page. So there's some that are like, there's one that I really like. Amanda, I think you actually sent it to me. I think it's called like Unapologetic Women or something like that. And like sometimes the person, whoever the administrator is, will post something, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I love that. I didn't even realize that was an issue. But I guess I do need to, focus on that, or I do need to think of things like in a certain way. So that's kind of fun too, is like, I didn't even realize that this was going on, but yeah, that kind of fits right now or something. So
Open-mindedness, taking in, information from outside of us and kind of applying it to ourselves in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that too. It all lines together, which is just validation of like everything we're doing. We talked about that in previous episodes, about how like in the very beginning, not in the very beginning, but like the progression I've seen as a therapist with people on social media is like, they would send me a post they found on Facebook or Instagram and be like, this is me, I've decided, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, hold on, that's not therapy, but yes, we can process how that relates to you. But then just kind of being able to separate like, that feels like that might be related to me. What does that mean? Maybe I should journal on it. Maybe I should paint on it. Maybe I should talk to a support about it. Or, oh my gosh, did you, I share a lot of those things with like my groups of friends. Like I might share it with Kelsi and be like, hello, it me, right? Because we've talked about those things. So it'd be a bonding moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that you pointed that out.
Like, what is it stirring up for me, and where at, Like kind of back to that mind body, like you might hit you heavy somewhere. And I feel like we've talked about that over and over, like how we're programmed to not tune into that. We said that earlier, but yeah, when we see that information, we can feel a physical kind of automatic reaction. And it's very, very interesting. And I wish that it was, put out there and more common knowledge. So we'll just keep putting it out there to people.
Express.
Yeah.
Amanda, one of my favorite things that you not frequently post about, but you have posted frequently, I guess, at times, is like you listening to your body, because I know you have some chronic stuff that you have dealt with over the years, and the way you are just like, my body's telling me no today, so I am going to lay with the dogs and I'm going to just relax the day away because I have to do this for myself. And I think that like it almost goes against the grain to what the US says is like, wake up, go to work, come home, do all of your chores, take your kids where they need to go. Like you always have something you're supposed to be doing. And you're such a good example, an advocate for just listening to what your body needs. And Kelsi, I'm sorry, I don't know about you because I don't follow anything that you've done, but so it's been kind of for me, like I watch Amanda a lot and I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I just like that you are willing to put that out there.
Yeah. And I'll say, very transparently, yes, I'm an advocate. Yes, I believe those things. And I'm still working on it every single day because I have my own limiting beliefs and I have my own stuff that gets in the way. So I might post that because I've made that decision. And then, an hour later, I'm like, you know what? I have all this time. I'm just laying here. I should be doing some laundry. I have that thing I need to. Yeah. It's a constant back and forth because like you said, society says achieve, 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 achieve. Right. And I actually just made a TikTok. Tell me what it's like to work in America without telling me what it's like to work in America. I'll have to share it with you after, Emma, but it's basically like do, but also make sure you do self-care and make time for your family and eat healthy but do. And if you don't do, you're going to get in trouble and you're going to get wrote up. And no, you can't take time off for mental health. That's not acceptable. And right. And so it's like, I've become the person, and I'll be very transparent, even with my clients when they're struggling with this. I'm okay being the weirdo hippie that does my breath work and uses my crystals and my oils and my affirmations. I'm okay saying that's toxic and I don't want to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. Even if the people that are a part of that don't agree with me or give me pushback, those aren't my people then. That tells my gut and my body, ooh, you know what? They're not supportive of me and what I need. Mm-hmm. I'm the one that has to go home in this vessel every day, right? Like, yes, you give me a paycheck, or yes, you help, you do whatever you do in society for me, but that's a very small percentage of how I have to live in my body. And if I'm not listening to my body, I'm just storing all that stress away. So I'm okay if you don't like me, you're not my people. I'm going to go find my people, and I have my people that support that. And I think that's one of the hardest struggles, like you mentioned earlier. Society doesn't support this, and you have to be okay with people not liking you and people not supporting that, and knowing that doesn't mean you're alone. It just means those aren't the people for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was talking with a friend, sorry, Kelsi. I was talking with a friend, and she just got over COVID recently. And I was like, how long did you have to take off work? Whatever, we're talking about it. And she's like, yeah, I had to take whatever amount of sick days. And I'm like, I said, that's really crappy that in this society, you have to take your sick days when it's a pandemic. Like, they want us to be, socially isolated, socially distancing and quarantining ourselves and all these things, but they're going to like punish us if we do get it. And she's like, well, we just don't get points added to our file if we take sick days for that. And I'm like, points?
Programmed for that to not be toxic.
And I was like, well, so wait, if you get sick normally, like a flu or strep throat or whatever, you just don't want to come in because you have a mental health day and you use a sick day, you get points for that? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, why even give sick days then? What's the point?
Right. It's so fear-based.
Right. Like, you can't use it then if you're going to get points. It just does not make sense to me.
So no wonder why people are afraid to take care of themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And that actually, why is it always a TikTok? Someone said, tell me what one of like the biggest things that you were shocked. This is why I love it so much, because I learned so much. What were you shocked about? Yeah, you used to live in America and you moved to another country, and like you were shocked by that other country because of your life in America. And they had gotten, like, I don't know if they were interviewing for a job or they had just started their job, and they were asking about how much like sick time or how much PTO or how much sick time they get. And they're like, what do you mean? And they're like, if I get sick, how much time do I have to take off? And they're like,
just take the day off.
You just take the time off. And they're like, well, what if I'm sick for like 4 days? They're like, then you just take the days off. And they're like, but I don't get in trouble. Like, how do I get paid? You just take the time off and we pay you for it. You're sick. We don't want you coming in. And they were just like mind blown.
Like that.
And I'm like, how healthy is that?
3 different times. We're both, and I'm sitting there watching it just as mind blown, because we feel like we're in this bubble. And then you see that and you're like,
that's crazy. I did not know that. I know a lot of other countries do a lot more like holiday time. They just, people are able to take a lot more vacations or holidays. They just have more time, but I didn't realize to that extent. Like, if you're sick, you just are sick and just don't go in.
I know we pivoted a lot, but if you think about going back to the core subject, no wonder why it's so hard for people to make a healthy decision.
It's always like, you're going to be, what consequence am I going to face? Consequence that's completely outside of myself. I have to ignore any internal consequences because I have all these outside of myself too. We get very fired up about this.
Yeah, and then we've talked before about the topic of burnout, and it just makes me so angry because burnout is something that's like placed as an individual blame on a person rather than recognizing the systematic dysfunction that creates that for people.
Yeah. Instead of hiring enough people to do all the work, or instead of paying them a wage that they're able to live without having to get a second and or third job, instead of doing the things that would make it better for your employees, it's the employee's fault.
We need to go home and take a bubble bath. And you're like, that's not what I need here.
It's my cure, my bubble bath cure.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. I saw
burnout before. Like, it was whenever I, stepped outside of it and like I saw it, and Amanda was, part of that process because, I was meeting with her for supervision and at the time, and it was great. It was one of those moments where I really had to practice what I preached to all of the people that I work with and all of the information I put out there, because I was like, literally every part of me was exhausted. It's a very real thing, and it has nothing to do with a character flaw in us or myself. I can only speak for myself, but
and even when you leave those toxic places, it still is instilled in you this fear-based mindset of, wait, I can't do that. Like, Kelsi's in private practice, with Carve Your Own Path now, and like in the very beginning, she was like, can I? But what about that? And how? Wait, but should I be doing this? And is it? I don't know what to tell this. The roads are really bad, and my car broke down, and they're not answering me, and I need to do telehealth, but I don't want them to show up at the office, and just like all the things that have been instilled in her traumatically. And it's not. I won't just say mental health. Like, our corporate America, any job, it's so traumatizing. And again, no wonder why it's hard for us to make decisions, because we can't trust our gut when everybody around us is going against that.
And when I left, like, I literally felt like I was looked at and was like, good luck. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Right.
And I'm like, I did have to do a lot of my own work, for sure.
That actually is really kind of disheartening, knowing that, like, if you leave a position to do something that you feel is going to better yourself, it's going to be a better fit, or it's going to be better for you and your family, or whatever the thing is, and that's how your coworkers react to you, like, good luck, you'll never make it, like, that's just, That just gives me the ickies. I don't like that at all.
Yeah,
or even places trying to go like, hey, I need to go part-time because I need to take care of myself better and my family. We don't have any part-time, but I know I'm speaking for you, Kelsi, but I know a lot of other organizations. It's either full-time or no, we don't have that opportunity. And I'll say, I'm actually only there for a couple more weeks, but when I finally went to this community mental health agency and had the like first positive experience, like they were asking me about, before I even started, they were calling me like the week before, like, hey, we're thinking about putting you at this location, but we know you live here, so would you like to be closer? We just want to make sure we got your feedback before you started to put you at the right location. And I was just like, what? And then, the position when I applied was 40 hours, and I was like, I need to balance, like I'm trying to do this and I have this going on and I want to balance this. So I was hoping for maybe like 24 hours, and they're like, unfortunately we can't do that, but maybe we can do 32. And I was like, you're even having a conversation about this, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then I went to leave again because my life circumstances changed, and I was like, I kind of need to cut this out, but maybe I could stay at this practice this many days a week. And they're like, okay. So I've been there like 12 hours, and just having that support and understanding and support of like you as a human and what your life path is and what your needs are was just so bizarre to me, which shouldn't be a thing. Like that should be all day, every day. That should just be how it is. You should expect
that. That should be the expectation, but it's not, right? Because of what we've kind of dealt with. I try really hard with my students to be really aware of what's going on in their life if they're willing to share, and I always tell them, like, even in my syllabus, like, if you have to miss a class, just like email me, just tell me what's going on. I am not here to be like your punisher. I am not here to tell you that you're going to fail this class because you miss a day or two. Like, you get sick. It happens. You have family stuff that comes up. It happens. There are things that happen in your life. And like, I want you to feel like you can, if you need to, take some time away. I'm not talking for weeks and weeks necessarily, but if you need a day or whatever, we'll get you caught up. That's not the end of the world. But I also hold them responsible if it's something, if they don't like call or if they don't email to let me know what's going on, then maybe it is an unexcused absence. But like, I try to give them every opportunity to be able
just
to
communicate. But and I think even just at some places it's been, you're afraid to communicate because there's a boundary. Like, being especially an administration of some kind, or having someone that's a authority figure, they're taught, don't get personal.
Yeah, that is true.
Right. So then it's even like, if the person is strong-willed enough and empowered enough to say, this is what I need, they might be pushed down.
Right. We can see the need, we can feel it, we acknowledge it to ourselves. We don't have that safety to put it out there to honor that. And then we
honor ourselves.
Speaking Emma, ourselves up, Emma. Oh, sorry, Amanda. Go.
No, I was just gonna say, Emma, I told Kelsi, because she was like, did you get the bullet points ready? And I'm like, honestly, it's not a big deal. Like, Emma and we could just chat like forever. So we could make this a series for real.
We really could. Yeah, no doubt. So I don't really even have any bullet points. It's just kind of like stuff that I've been thinking about. And I think one other point that I just want to bring on, like, when people do try to make changes, Amanda, you had recently put something like, just trying to have a self-care yoga day or whatever, and your dog was like laying there biscuits, just like looking at you like, what are you doing? But like, people are really big on like, okay, my New Year's resolution, I'm going to get in shape, or I'm going to do more exercise, or I'm going to eat healthier, I'm going to lose 15 pounds, whatever. And that's awesome. Like, go do it. Like, that's amazing. But also, like, have grace on yourself, understand that you're going to have maybe a slip day. It happens, because changing habits, it doesn't happen overnight most of the time. Some people are like super great, like so willpowered that they can do it, but I'm not one of those. So like, I just have to be like, well, yeah, I probably shouldn't have eaten that, slice of pizza, but I did. So, oh, well, tomorrow.
And perspective is everything, knowing you, because the people that it seems quote unquote easier, like when you're comparing yourself to them, to make those changes might not have as much stress in their life. They might have an insane amount of support in their life. They might not have trauma that they're still working through with all sorts of triggers. They might not have addiction or an eating disorder that they're still trying to work through, or whatever it is, right? So that's why the comparing thing is so toxic, but also having the perspective to say, oh my gosh, I had to work 80 hours of overtime, which is just ew. So of course I ate pizza and I got takeout because listen, my body needed to eat and I took care of myself and I got food. And that's all that matters. And next week I'll try better.
Yeah. When I have time to cook, I will cook myself a nice healthy meal.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was kind of the other part of this that I wanted to mention. I didn't really have a whole lot more on that, but
I know we could talk forever, but we got to wrap up. Any last minute pieces of like, you kind of gave it, but any last pieces of advice, any mantras or like things that you tell yourself, or any last little things to throw out there before we kind of end?
I just say have grace a lot to myself. I say it a lot to my daughter too, because, you know, if she gets like, this boy at school, he's so annoying, he da-da-da-da-da-da, whatever it might be. And I'm like, honey, just have some grace. Like, you don't know what that person's going through. And just try to like teach her that as well. So,
instilling it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Emma. You are welcome back
Thanks.
anytime, any topic, obviously. So thank you for being here. Our audience, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you don't subscribe, you won't know when the next episode's coming out. And please comment and give us feedback, because we always want to know what you're thinking, things that you want to talk about, topics, all that good stuff. We will also, our next episode that you'll hear from us is going to be the double one. It's going to be LaToya Logan, as we mentioned before, talking about young Black males. And then next week, we are going to be talking to Dr. Nicole. She works in orthopedics, but she also has a lot of mind, body, spirituality, yoga, things that we're going to be talking about. So incorporating the medical world with mental health, with spirituality, with listening to your body, all the good things. So that episode will be Mind, Body, Spirit. So make sure you tune into that. And have a great week, everyone. Bye, guys.
Bye.